Coming up on Hometown Talents and Treasures, got some extra blankets, dishes, or sheets in your closet? We'll tell you who really needs those items. Hello everyone, I'm Eszter Vajda. Thanks for joining us and welcome to Hometown Talents and Treasures. Our goal is to introduce you to citizens who in their own unique way enrich, educate, empower, or inspire others in the community. Our guests are from Project Home Again. For the past 10 years, the organization has been helping thousands rebuild their lives by giving them household items free of charge. Our guests are Nancy Cannell, founder and director. Eliza Cruz is a caseworker at Daybreak Shelter, and Steve Rosenfield is a volunteer. Welcome, everyone.
Thank you.
So I want to start out with this very powerful moment that we had right before we started taping, where Eliza gave Nancy an envelope from someone who has benefited from your works. And I want you to open and read what Lisa, who was homeless and apparently has gotten a number of items from you. And what does she say in that card?
First, it's to Nancy and all the other Project Home Again staff and volunteers. Hi, I really appreciate the kitchen set that was donated to me on Friday. For the past couple of years, I've been getting help from you. If it wasn't for Project Home Again, I wouldn't be able to afford to have all the nice things in my house. I hope that I can make the same difference in people's lives that Project Home Again does every year. Thank you for being kind and caring. Just think about all the lives you provide with hope and inspiration. A spark is a little thing, yet it may kindle the world. Mary Farquhar Typer. Thank you for all the little things that you do. God bless, Lisa Gifford.
Wow. Wow. Gives me chills.
Yeah. It's very nice.
And so 10 years ago, you started this, and since then you've been affecting thousands of people, helping them rebuild their lives. Take me back 10 years ago. Why did you see this need? I mean, it's such a no-brainer, Nancy, right? I mean, there's food shelters, there's homeless shelters, but a place where you get, simple everyday things like mugs. Yeah. How'd you come about this?
Well, it happened. It was very much by accident. There was a woman I knew who was a domestic abuse survivor. She came to me saying that she needed a stove, that hers had broken, that she didn't have any way to cook for her child. And I just had an idea, and I put a little article in the bulletin at Temple Emmanuel in Andover. And I said, if anybody's redoing their kitchen, if you have an extra stove, I know somebody who could use it. And I got 5 phone calls for refrigerator, stove, all different things. And something just made me say yes to it all. And it was very easy to find a place for it all. And so the next month I said, that's so good for the environment. I'm going to do it again. And I put in another article. And this time I got phone calls and people said, I don't have any appliances, but I have furniture. Is there anything you can do with it? And I thought, well, somebody must need it. So I started making more phone calls. And eventually, as my garage started filling with things and my family was not too pleased, I mentioned to Rabbi Goldstein at Temple Emmanuel that if I had an office and sort of maybe some kind of space to do this, we would have something here. And I got an office, and then Ozzy Properties heard what I was doing and donated space. And we grew from one small little room in their property to taking over practically their entire basement. And along the way, just different people that I've met and talked to wanted to pitch in. So we ended up getting a truck donated. We ended up having a landscape company, Forever Green, who during the winter months picks up furniture for us. Everybody who heard about it wanted to help.
And it just all fell into place.
Yeah.
And talk about the clients. People get homeless because they lost a job, but also natural disasters, also domestic violence instances. Talk a little bit about that.
There are so many different reasons, which Eliza could probably speak to better than I can. But you know, there are people who are recovering from drug and alcohol abuse. Domestic violence is a large number of the clients who come into Project Home Again.
Yeah, because a lot of those women just leave with the clothes on their back.
Exactly. Some are relocated out of state, so they have no support system whatsoever. You know, there can be somebody coming here from Minnesota or Florida, and they have no family or friends, and they can't contact them because it wouldn't be safe for them to. So they have no safety net, and it can be heartbreaking sometimes. This woman came in once, and she started crying as she was taking things, and she was a domestic abuse survivor, and she started looking at us and she said, I was you a month ago. All I want is matching blankets for my kids. I was living in a house, and I had china, and I had crystal, and I had a beautiful house, and now here I am. And it was really important for the volunteers to hear that. You can never lose sight of none of us.
Things can change like this.
Yep.
And so, Liza, you're a social worker at Daybreak, a shelter, which is one of 2 wet shelters in Massachusetts. Talk a little bit about your clientele and how you got involved with Nancy.
So a couple years ago, I was the housing outreach caseworker for the Daybreak shelter before I became the caseworker. And what I had to do is I had to house those chronically homeless individuals. And then I had to, so we had the money for them, the subsidy, and then we would bring them into these empty apartments because they literally came in with a bag. That was all they were allowed at the shelter. So I got in touch with Nancy numerous times, and we just visited her agency and picked up the items and emailed each other back and forth. And I would ask her for something. She would tell me I don't have anything, but I have this. Or she would get a new item and call me and say, Eliza, I got this item. Do you want it? And so Nancy and I have been working a lot closely with furnishing these chronically individuals.
Tell me about Lisa, the woman who wrote this note.
Lisa was living at the shelter with us for a little while. She did really well living at the shelter, being sober. She became a volunteer, actually. And then after becoming a volunteer, she was one of the ones who benefited from that subsidy program that we received. But like I said earlier, she was only allowed a bag. So Nancy absolutely helped out with that. Not only with our clients, but Project Home, again, has also helped our organization. I mean, she's donated numerous towels and sheets and blankets.
I mean, things you don't even think about that others may need. It's incredible.
Yes, Nancy has been very generous to our program. It's unbelievable. I love the work that she does.
You know, Nancy, you know this, I recently moved, and it's just amazing as you go through all the items of how many things that you have way too many of, the same item. I mean, how many mugs do you need? How many plates? How many towels? You know, you think about it, you often just use the same one. Steve, you go around and pick up some of these items. What do donors say? What types of reactions have you been getting?
Well, it's been really great for me and my wife, Heather. We've been volunteering for a couple of years now. And we have the accessibility of the truck that we have now, that helps kind of one of the big logistical hurdles that we have at Project Home Again, because a lot of people have furniture that they want to donate but have no way of getting it there. So by having the means or the vehicle and having the people to help out to be able to collect the bigger items really helps getting good quality kind of furniture into the warehouse to allow clients to pick them up. The reaction is pretty cool. When my wife and I, usually it's just the 2 of us, and we go in and we go and pick up all these items, and they look at us and they said, "You can't move this." And we said, "Oh yes, we can. We're kind of professionals at this now. We're kind of experienced." And I like to say we've never been able to take a piece that we say we can get it on the truck, and we do. But the reaction is great because as Nancy mentioned, a lot of these folks are moving house, they're downsizing, and they've got all this stuff. And for them to know that it's not going to go into the bin, or it's going to go to people who really need it. It's a great way of being part of the process. So it's really important, and they don't really appreciate the actual transition over to the warehouse, and how it really helps. All these things really help folks get a brand new start. And it's there. It's a bit of effort. It's a bit of volunteerism.
But the meaning of it,
yeah,
physically moving that stuff, sure, it cumbersome. I'm sure a lot of those people also have a little bit of a hard time letting go of some of those items.
Sure, yeah. I mean, a lot of them are their kids' bedroom sets and those kinds of things. And I always like to say when we close the truck, and I say, well, you probably helped about 8 different families today.
Wow.
And they really can understand the benefit of it. And thanks to the whole process and all the volunteers, it really is a great experience for everybody.
And that's so cool, Nancy, that you're partnering up with people like Eliza and Steve, who really make this a really oiled machine. And so for those folks listening, watching this, what kind of opportunities are there to help out?
Oh, well, we always have volunteer opportunities. We can always use more people either working in the warehouse or working on the truck and helping to pick things up. And then, of course, just donating things that you
All right,
don't
let's talk
need.
about the stuff that you need.
Right.
We talk about the basic stuff, towels, blankets. We talked about that. What are some things we haven't talked about?
Well, Eliza gave a really good example with Lisa. If you picture somebody moving into a totally empty apartment, what I usually tell people is think about a child graduating from college, or your first apartment, your first house. What did you need? You needed everything, but if you look at the bare bones of what you really need to function and live comfortably, you need a bed to sleep on with a pillow and blankets and sheets. You need pots and pans to prepare food. You need dishes. You need silverware. You need glasses to drink from. You need towels so that you can bathe, a dresser to put clean clothes in, and then all the other stuff is sort of icing on the cake, but we need it because it makes a house a home. So a sofa and a table and pictures, knickknacks, yes, everything. We really encourage people who come in to not just take what they need, but to take things to make their home feel cozy. And we're lucky that we have we get that stuff pretty regularly, and it's nice to have it. But it's nice also for people to be able to take what they like. Part of what I think sets Project Home Again apart from some other places is that if a woman comes in and she likes apples, she can spend an hour looking for glasses with apples on them, or other red things to make the kitchen her own, not just stuff that people gave her because they didn't want any more. And I think that's really empowering, and we try to make it look as pretty as we can in there so that people have a good feeling. I don't want anyone to feel like they're digging through other people's stuff.
Yeah. And so how does it work? People go in there, you work with people like Liza, but talk about some of the people who may come off the street, walk in, and is it like going shopping? And
yeah, it is. I mean, you either have to, the clients that we serve either have to be accompanied by a caseworker, or they need a letter from a social worker that referred them. And in the letter, the social worker will tell us exactly what they need. They come in, and we basically give them a quick tour of the place and let them know, this is where the linens are, this is the kitchen, this is furniture, baby items, books, and then they can walk around, and one of our volunteers will not stay close enough that if they need help, we're there, but give them the time and space to get what they need. And then if it's smaller items, we have boxes and bags they can put it in. Larger items they can put on hold for up to a week so that they can arrange transportation to come back and get it.
Eliza, what are some of the biggest items that you guys need in your organization?
At the Daybreak Shelter, we really need some workers. The floor is kind of beat up, and
you need someone to redo the floors.
The structure of the shelter is is scarce. I mean, it is what it is. It's a shelter. It's a wet shelter.
But in terms of items that you see, if people want to donate to Project Home Again, what types of things specifically?
Definitely the towels, definitely the blankets, the sheets. I think we use. I think that's about it. The blankets, the towels, the sheets, because it's an emergency shelter. So they come in and they eat, and we give them all disposable dishes, disposable utensils. We can use disposable stuff all the time: plates, napkins, forks, spoons, cups. But other than that, they come in, they eat, then they go to sleep, and they take a shower, then they gotta go at 8 o'clock in the morning. So we just give them what they need while they're there. So toothbrushes, toothpaste,
I was
hygiene
just gonna
items.
say,
Yes, I forgot about that. Oh my goodness. Yes, shampoo, conditioner, all that good
toothbrush
stuff.
Holders.
Yeah, not
Right?
so much. The individual ones.
Yeah.
Yes, but toothbrushes, toothpaste, shampoo, conditioner, soap. My goodness, I can't believe I didn't say this earlier because I'm always complaining about how we don't have enough to give them and how are they going to take showers. Deodorant. We have like a cream spread that's a deodorant.
Wow.
But it's. I've never seen deodorant like that, but they sell it. So it's not the most appealing, but it is what it is. But
Men and women,
men
correct.
and women, we give them the same thing. So it's hygiene items, great.
Something interesting I saw on your website having to do with cribs and beds.
Yes.
And you pointed out how important it is to have a good night's sleep in a comfortable bed.
Yeah.
Because a lot of these people are already down and out, having trouble. But boy, what a difference a good sleep can make.
Absolutely.
We all know this.
Absolutely. I mean, we are asking people who are already going through a tough time to move forward with their lives in a positive way, whether it's applying for jobs or getting their children back. They're starting over in some way. And when I think about how I feel when I did not get a good night's sleep, I'm not my best person the next day. Ask my kids. So
Me neither.
Who is?
this is we get grants, but we also take donations. $75 helps us buy a twin mattress for a child.
Well,
That's an incredible price.
$75.
Yeah.
Any state funds?
So far, no. We are changing up the way we're doing things a little bit, and maybe I'll be able to get some state funds. But right now, it's all private grants that allow us to do this. But it makes a huge difference. Last year, we got about 150 beds for kids, and it's just an incredible feeling.
Life-changing.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Do some of your volunteers, like Steve, do you get to go to some of the people's houses? So I know you pick up stuff from donors. Do you also deliver?
Not regularly, just the way the system works, because we want to get all of the stuff into the warehouse so that it can be available. But I have had a couple of occasions where we had one house in Andover that was being totally donated, the contents. And it just turned out that a client was moving into a house in Methuen. And so we were able to just load up the truck and then just move it into the new house in Methuen. And so that was really nice for me because I got the chance to see the finished product, if you will, the other end.
I want to add to that story a little bit. The woman who was moving in Methuen had about 3 days to get her place furnished in order to get her children back. I had about 24 hours notice that this needed to happen. Within an hour of me sending an email, if somebody could do it, Steve and his wife volunteered, and they went to extraordinary lengths to get this done. And the woman came into Project Home Again the next week to sort of get the few other things she needed. And it was just an incredible experience to have watched some other of our volunteers to help Stephen and his wife as well get the stuff to her. I can't tell you what it feels like to see people open up their hearts and really care so much for people that they don't know. It's been remarkable for me to be able to watch the people who have come into my world because of Project Home Again. And
incredible.
the goodness.
It gives me chills just listening to
Yeah.
these.
It's gratifying.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Steve, I'm sure for you also an eye-opener, delivering some of those things and seeing this woman's situation who must have been in a desperate mode, 3 days or she loses her children. What did you learn? What did you see? What are some of the things that you observed?
Well, it's a very special kind of situation for me. I mean, I've been very fortunate in my life, and it's great for me to have the opportunity to give back. And this is an easy way to do it. Being able to help people who are in need and to give an opportunity to make some people's lives better without just by doing something, just by participating is very rewarding, and it's something that you can't buy. You get that feeling by doing. And
What have you learned about yourself?
It's just a great experience. You know, it's part of life's journey. And if you volunteer or if you go outside your comfort zone to help, it's very rewarding. So.
Well put. Liza, what have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about people in this process?
Well, I have learned, unlike others, I personally know, or professionally know, the clients that I'm bringing the furniture to, and they think that I'm this, you know, great grand person, and I always say it's not me, it's Project Home Again. You gotta write a letter to Project Home Again. It's Nancy, thank Nancy. It's amazing. I've had clients cry. It's like Christmas all over again. I've had Christmas all over again. I don't even know how many times this week. And they're happier, but I swear, like, I want to do cartwheels. I'm even more excited.
Oh, I love to hear
I have
that. I love to
table
hear
for you, and I'm so excited. And I got a dryer. The dryer is working. It's nice. And so, I mean, my clients are crying and happy, but I swear it's, and not to be selfish, but it's just a very gratifying, emotional moment for me. So thank you, Nancy, over and over again, because without her, I wouldn't have been able to have my clients like me so much. I'm just kidding. It's my job.
Why did you? But you know, beside it being your job, you know, not a big paying job. None of the volunteers don't get anything. But why did you specifically decide to give back?
Because the need is there, and I need to serve. That is how I'm able to go to sleep at night, knowing that I served my community, knowing that I helped somebody that really needed it, knowing that I invested my sweat and my husband's sweat in picking up furniture and dropping it off. It's just there's no other feeling like that. It's satisfying. It's no matter how much money or little money I get paid, just doing that labor work, that just delivering and seeing my client's face like light up, and the kids, and it's an amazing feeling. No money can ever replace that. I don't do it for the money. I do it because I like their smiling faces.
How have you guys seen? Well, Steve, you've only been involved 2 years. How long have you been at Daybreak, Liza?
Since 2009.
So recently, I mean, you know, we were already in bad economic times. So Nancy, specifically, how have you seen the needs change? It's just incredible to me, and I say this so often, that in this country, we have such poverty and hunger.
Yeah. The last, I'd say 5 years, we've seen a dramatic increase in the number of people coming through our doors. Domestic abuse, which used to be a minimal part of Project Home Again's clients, has skyrocketed. The makeup of the people who come through the doors, it used to be the poorest of the poor, and now there are people who were middle class who are coming through our doors.
Lost their jobs.
But I also have to say that I've been lucky enough to go on house visits with some of the social workers, and I think that every person who makes public policy in the state and in this country needs to go to apartments in Lawrence or places like that in Baltimore or wherever they live. What you think you're going to see there does not compare to what you're going to see there. You can't understand it until you really see it. Eliza can explain it to you, and you can think that you know what to expect. It's 100 times worse than you could prepare yourself for.
Steve, you're nodding. What are some of the things you observed?
Well, I just, in terms of delivering, the items from the truck to clients' homes, just, an empty shell. And these people have lives and they're struggling. And, for whatever reason, once you see it, you have that compulsion to do something.
Yeah.
You can't get it off the TV, you can't get it from news reports. But when you see it face to face, you really get a sense of the inequity sometimes of,
Yeah.
because when you see the people, they're like you and me. There's no difference.
Absolutely.
And you talk to them and you see their aspirations and their challenges, but they're just like you and me. And they need help.
And Nancy, I'm glad you mentioned, that both of you guys mentioned that it's not just folks going to Daybreak who may have some kind of a addiction problem, but it's also everyday people who just lost their jobs and still are unemployed or underemployed. You mentioned policy makers. What type of specific changes, would any of you guys like to see on the state or federal level?
I'm not sure what the answer is. All I know is that what we're doing is not right, because there are people who, like Steve said, they're good people, they're hardworking people. I had one woman who I adored come into Project Home again. She had been coming in for a few years, and she came back one day and she said, I don't know what to do. I have a part-time job at a supermarket in the deli. I make less than I was making on welfare. So I'm working, but I can't feed my family. I want to work because I don't want to be on welfare.
There is something wrong with that.
But what am I supposed to do? And what am I supposed to tell her? So these are not, people paint this picture of lazy people who want to take from the government. I have to tell you, I see so little of that. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I see so little of that. I see people who want to make something out of their lives, and we need to help them.
Eliza, go ahead.
Just to piggyback off of what you're saying, it's really hard to navigate the system. And I know that you've called me in the past on some situations on like, Eliza, how do I help this person? And it's really just trying to teach them how to navigate the system and where to go and what supervisor to ask for and what documents, and because there can just be something that's not going on that they're not paying attention to, and that's why people like myself, it's important to step in so that we can help them navigate the system that is crooked, that is hard, that it's embarrassing, that it's a humbling experience. And a lot of people who have had these wonderful, great jobs, they don't want to go through that humbling experience, and they don't want to go to the DTA office. And for those individuals, we tell them, you know what, you don't have to go to the DTA office. Fill out the application online and mail it in. Like, it's really just about knowing the system and how do we navigate this system. Because there's ways around it, not that it's easy, but with experience, a lot of determination and a lot of patience, because the people on the other side, they're not trained to be humanitarians as we are. They're trained to, like, I need 10 numbers and I need to make my quota, and that's what's gonna happen, and I don't have to be nice to this person, I just need their information and keep it moving. So it's really about having someone there who will help them over and over again and have hope a lot of times with my clients, they have no hope. So I am their hope, and eventually they'll get to that level where I'm at. But it's always hard. It's always hard.
Steve, any thoughts on public policy or areas that you think need a little bit of twitching? I really appreciate what you said, Nancy, about, we don't know what the answer is, but it's not working.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very complex society we live in. And, I've been able to travel a bit abroad, and I always think about the safety net. And if people believe that there should be a safety net for our society that we live in, then it has to be something that is, positive and constructive. And I think, the policymakers need to think about the safety net and what that should be. Politics aside, finances aside. People, for whatever reason, need help. And, in our little way at Project Home Again, we're doing our bit. We can't solve the world's problems, but, we do our little thing, and hopefully that's an example for other people to follow.
Well said, well said. Project Home Again, 10 years, congratulations.
Thank
you. PHAMA.org.
You got it.
PHAMA.org. What's your website?
thepsychologicalcenter.com.
And as we talked about it, I give you my word, I will come down and check it out, bring a camera, and feature you guys, because what you guys are doing is also excellent. And all of you guys, true hometown talents and treasures, because it's because of people like you that things keep moving forward. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For
It's an
all
honor.
that you have done. And that is our show for tonight. Please make sure you join our Facebook page. And if there's someone or an organization you would like to nominate to be featured on Hometown Talents and Treasures, email me at esterandvajda@gmail.com. Remember, it can be anyone. The important thing is that they selflessly donate their talent and time to help others. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.